Amtrak officials announcing that, yes, this is not going to happen. The Rockford to Chicago rail line ain't going to happen anytime soon. What is your reaction to that, and is that exactly true?
No, it's not true. It's absolutely not true. No Amtrak official said that. And what was said by Ray Lang, whom I spoke to yesterday, and Tom Carper, who is the chairman of the Amtrak Board of Directors. I've gotten to know both those individuals over the years and was able to talk to them in the morning, as well as talk to Representative Cabello. It's not Amtrak's call on whether there's an operating subsidy put in the budget to enable additional service or maintenance of the existing service. That's the call of the General Assembly, the legislature. So I think the question posed was, if there's budget cuts that come true, like outlined by Governor Rauner in his budget address, will there be able to be service to Rockford? And the answer to that is no, and of course not. Obviously, and we've known that since the governor made his budget address, that if they don't have enough money to support existing service, they're certainly not going to have enough money to do new service. Now, the line that we're talking about from Chicago to Rockford is considered a short line by Amtrak standards, so it's not one of the national lines. The national lines are subsidized at the federal level. The short lines, this line from Rockford to Chicago, need to be supported by the state, and if the state's not going to be able to do it, obviously they can't run it. All that being said, what I tried to do yesterday in my press conference is step back and look at it from the much larger picture. The improvements that we're looking to make to the track aren't just for Amtrak service. The improvements are for possible commuter service, which we've been working on for over a decade, as well as freight improvements. Right now, the freight line on the UP where we're planning on running from Belvedere to Rockford is only rated about 10 miles per hour. So that's not good for commerce, not good for our manufacturers. If you can't get goods in, raw materials, and goods out, finished products, utilizing freight as a possible option for moving goods and providing economic opportunity. So for us, we try to emphasize that all three of those areas of investment are important for our community. And I also mentioned that, just like our big projects like rebuilding West State, South Main, the Morgan Street Bridge, we went through years of design, development, and financial planning, and we had to make adjustments along the way at times when the state budget got in trouble. I see this as absolutely no different. The question shouldn't be whether we're going to get Amtrak service. The question should be when and what type of impact we're going to have from a return on investment standpoint by making this happen. And as I also mentioned, I'm not expecting the state to give this opportunity to Rockford out of charity. I'm not expecting it because they feel sorry for us. We've got a great community and a great ability to give back to the state of Illinois, but to get a return on investment, you have to make the core investment, and this is a core element of what we do in government, and I'm very proud of the initiative and the effort. It's been a long time coming. We've got a lot of community support, and we may have to adjust a little bit, but I think we're going to be successful.
I understand you spoke with Amtrak officials yesterday morning.
I did.
And they, I would think, would have their opinion on this matters. Obviously, well, what was that? What were those conversations like? They did say it was not dead.
Correct. So I've known some of the individuals because I've been involved in this conversation now for a decade. Gentlemen like Ray Lang and Tom Carper have been involved with Amtrak for a long time, so I've gotten to know them a little bit at various hearings across the state and in Chicago and other places where we've tried to promote rail in general, but this Amtrak service specifically. So we've gotten a lot of support from federal officials like Senator Durbin, our Congressman Manzullo was very supportive before he left office. Congressman Kinzinger still remains supportive, as well as Congresswoman Bustos. So we've got a lot of good partners that see the value in this initiative, and I think we just have to continue the effort. I don't blame Representative Cabello for wanting to get an answer from the governor's office or from Amtrak officials about these questions that are open, but it wouldn't be fair to characterize Amtrak as saying a no when that's not what they said. They said their support depends on state funding. Let me also, one other point I didn't necessarily make clearly enough. We don't even need the operating subsidy for Amtrak, in my opinion, in this coming year because the capital investment won't be done within this upcoming state budget year.
Okay.
So the state budget year starts June 1st, runs for a year. We don't anticipate being done with the capital improvements, the train station and the platform to be able to accept Amtrak riders realistically and probably until, in best case scenario, the second half of next year. So therefore, we don't really need to even ask for an Amtrak subsidy in this coming budget year. And this is particularly important because right now I know there's going to be needed cuts and or revenue enhancements to be able to balance the budget for the coming year. I know they just had the short-term fix that helped get through the existing budget year, which gets us to the end of May. But all the discussions that are happening about the next state budget year, the good news is we don't likely need that Amtrak subsidy. What we do need is and that's the other thing Representative Cabello and our other representatives were asking about, we want to see the capital get freed up so we can keep moving forward on the design and implementation of the track improvements from Chicago to Rockford.
You mentioned Representative Cabello and some other allies you consider in Springfield on this and in Washington, Congressman Kinzinger, Congresswoman Bustos, Senator Dave Severson, Senator Steve Stottleman. These are, Republicans and Democrats. Would you consider Governor Rauner on the side of this happening, so to speak, or does he have not bigger fish to fry, but a lot more on his plate?
Well, I had a chance to ask the governor that very question when he had, since he's been governor, in a couple conversations that we've had, along with other local officials. The time he was out at the airport, we had a private meeting afterwards. I've heard him say directly that he supports capital investment, he supports rail investment, and he highlighted specifically, like we've talked about, the opportunity to improve our freight rail as well as passenger. So all that being said, I know he's got a lot on his plate. We've got tremendous challenges. So what he's looking for, I believe, out of the state legislature and out of the state in general is, as he said, reform before revenue. So if there's going to be a deal done to enable us to move forward to invest in capital investment as well as operations to run government, he's looking for reforms, and I agree with a lot of those reforms. I've been a big proponent for many years about many of the types of reforms he's talking about to alter and support a better position for government leaders when we're dealing with collective bargaining units. We've had huge problems with the arbitration system in the state of Illinois. So those are all very conservative values that I appreciate and agree with, and fundamentally support him in his efforts to try to reform elements of a state government that need to be reformed. But I also know that in order to make the state prosper and our city prosper, and the governor, I believe, agrees with this, we have to make investments. They just have to be the right investments, and I believe this is one of those very good investments for the state and for our community.